I am beyond excited to welcome my very special guest, singer, songwriter extraordinaire of the mighty Shedcember, the legend Rick Witter. Welcome to my show.
What a lovely build-up, thank you.
Oh, I've got an excited feeling in my belly, actually, like it's Christmas Day talking to you right now. Let's start with early Rick, with young Richard. Your dad was a musician, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He played in a three-piece band just on the outskirts of Manchester, just in pubs and bars, but he really loved doing it. He was well into his music. And then, funnily enough, I spoke to my mother about this the other day, and I always thought it was because they had my older brother that he had to stop doing it. Because in them days, you know, get yourself to work, stop all of these pipe dreams kind of thing. But apparently it was actually because of me. I found out of my mother.
Oh,
it was the second one to come on,
I guess, didn't he? Then,
well, this is it, yeah. But to be honest, he was always really proud of the success that we had, and he kind of almost lived it through me. You know, he was always there. He was always backstage, trying to steal the show from me.
Oh, fantastic. And then in school, you met your Bezzy mate, didn't you? Guitarist Paul Banks, when you were both about 11. And, you know, there's such magic between you two, isn't there? I think you're a bit like the Lennon and McCartney.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've known him since I can remember, really, you know, and we obviously bonded quite quickly. He's not very sporty in any way, so I quite enjoyed playing sports when I was a bit younger. I can't possibly even consider running now, but way back in the day I was quite sporty. So I had a few sporty friends, and then I had Paul, who was more the music side of things. But yeah, we'd spend countless hours in each other's bedrooms, you know, designing record sleeves for the songs that we'd yet to even write, you know, and down to drawing barcodes and stuff, and imagining the amount that would sell. But you know,
you put it out there to the universe, didn't you? And it happened. So yeah, tell me about Pop Shop.
Well, the Pop Shop was something that happened on a weekend when we were at school. So basically, some gentlemen would come down and some ladies, and their job was to kind of inspire you into writing or give you handy hints in how to write songs. So we'd be a group of young kids that would go in, but because me and Paul were already in a band, we'd arrive with a ready-built song where the aim of it was to turn up and be told how to, or give hints on how to do it. But we'd kind of stand up and go, well, we've got this, you know. And even at that age, you could kind of sense that the older kids were going, well, hold on a minute, you should be listening, not doing it. But we had it in us, you know, we had it in us.
Definitely.
I think most of that is because we did spend countless hours playing air guitar and air singing. We did an awful lot of that.
Music was such a big part of your life, listening to bands that influenced you as well, I suppose. Were you good at poetry, or did you enjoy poetry in English in school as well? Because, you know, you're such a great lyricist. You're a wordsmith, aren't you?
Well, yeah, it's funny because at school I wasn't very good at anything apart from drama and English. I enjoyed doing those two things immensely, as opposed to the maths and the geography and the science, which I didn't really take on board or listen to. I do feel quite fortunate in a way. I'm nearly 49, and I look back at those days, and I do remember even saying to various teachers, all I want to do is sing in a band. And at that time, there wasn't really that creative push from teachers, you know. It was, no, that's a pipe dream. You must settle, and you must try harder at science.
Get an office job.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, even the careers officer, when I was about 15, the careers officer came in and said, what is it that you're after doing when you leave school? And I said, I want to be in a band. I am in a band, and I'm going to continue doing that. Oh, no, you can't do that. No, you need something a little bit more settled and straight-laced. So I just kind of walked out of that and said, well, you go for that. I'd like to invite that chap for a pint.
Yeah, look what you've achieved. I bet he's ever so bored in his life. And so...
No, I mean no malice. I mean no malice at all. You know, there's various people through the years that would perhaps try and put you off your chosen path. Not that it's chosen at that point, of course. I mean, we as part of our English lessons, I don't know if they still do this now, but we had to do a 20-minute talk on a subject of our choosing. So you'd pick a subject and you'd go away and you'd write it all out and you'd bring pictures in, anything that you wanted, really. And I chose the band that we were in at that time, and we'd made a demo cassette. We were only maybe 15, so obviously listening back now, it wouldn't sound absolutely brilliant, but for 15-year-olds, it was all right. And I remember doing it, standing up in front of the whole class and discussing the fact I was in a band and we'd done these gigs here and what we want to achieve. And here's one of the songs, and played it and showed some posters. And I remember that going down quite well. But then Tom, our bass player, who also went to our school, did one in his English class. We were in different English classes, and he did a very similar thing and played a song. And his English teacher in our school said to him, "Very good, Tom. You've got the chances of going quite far if you ditch the singer," which was a nice thing to hear.
Naughty teacher. What did she know, eh? Goodness me. So you went on, after you changed that band, you formed the Shedcember, the mighty Shedcember. And that was 1990, wasn't it? And the name you got from a train shed.
Yeah, that's the boring answer, yes.
What's the real answer?
Well, the real answer is the boring train answer. I think we decided to kind of take things a little bit more seriously just after the Stone Roses had released their album. So we decided to kind of chop a few things around, get a new name. And me and Tom, funnily enough, were on a train from York to Manchester. I think we were visiting Affleck's Palace when Manchester was in full swing. So we'd... in fact, I don't know if this corresponds with a similar story, but when we were on that train, I think I'd bunked off work. I was working in a restaurant because I was living on my own by that point, so I had to find some ways of getting the rent money. So I was working in this restaurant, and we decided to bunk off work for the day so we could go to Manchester. And because we left so early, I couldn't phone in sick until about 9:30, and we were on the train. So I thought, I'll just phone in sick now while I'm on the train, get it out of the way, and then I can relax for the day. So I'm doing that usual, I don't feel great. Oh, don't worry about it, Rick, don't worry about it. And just at that point, it said, the next stop will be Leeds train station.
Busted.
So
totally busted.
But just beyond Leeds train station, as you're going towards Manchester from York, as we were leaving that station, we saw 10 huge train sheds next to each other, each one with a big door on it, and each one said Shed 1, Shed 2, Shed 3, Shed 4, but Shed 7 was the only one that didn't have a door on it.
Right.
And I think I remember saying to Tom, that must be Shed 7. And it kind of just stuck. It just kind of stuck. So, it's not the most glamorous of names to have the word shed in your band name, but it can, it's like any name.
Totally works, doesn't it, for you? There's some bonkers band names out there. And do you think now 7 has become your lucky number?
Well, my lucky number's, I don't really have a lucky number. I've got a favourite number, and that's 4. So,
right. Because 7 crops up in your songs, doesn't it? Or at least one I can think of. So I just wondered.
Yes. No,
it's a thing.
No, not massively so. I think at the beginning of Shed 7, a couple of the band members were quite into gambling, or certainly on fruit machines, and obviously the Lucky 7.
The Lucky 7. So why is 4 your lucky number?
I don't know. It just always has been. It's just a nice, even, solid number. I'm sure there are other nice, even, solid numbers.
I'm sure there are.
I've just grown up with the number 4 and the colour green.
And the colour green too. Love that. Oh. So let's talk a bit more about the massive success that you had in the 90s. All of these hits, just amazing. You had that 6-album deal. I know you ended up doing 4 of those with Polydor. Massive in the UK. Were you also massive in Thailand? I read somewhere.
We were for about 10 minutes.
10 minutes is better than no minutes to be massive in Thailand. Fantastic. And looking back on all that now, particularly when you were doing shows iconic shows like Top of the Pops, how does that make you feel? What do you remember about those times?
Well, I always look back at that and I always answer, it was so exciting when it first happened. So the first radio play we received, it was really exciting because you've achieved something, you know. Even the first single to come out was called Mark. And I wanted that to become the first single off the debut album because it says I've left my mark forever in it. And I wanted to just make sure that was stated publicly. So, you know, if we'd have disbanded after one single, at least I would have released a piece of plastic that said I've left my mark forever on it. So, you know, as I say, the first radio plays, the first Top of the Pops was really exciting, but you're so caught up in the excitement of it that it's difficult to kind of appreciate it.
Yeah, and because you were younger then, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, yeah, it was just all weird and new, but very exciting because obviously as kids you used to grow up listening to, watching Top of the Pops and just really dreaming of being part of that. So it was great for that. But then, without sounding too blasé about it, we did Top of the Pops 10 times, and by the 7th and the 8th time, it's part of your job. You're doing it because you want to promote yourself and sell records, and you start to get a bit concerned when you're not invited on it. So
what's it like? Like when you get there, what's the whole sort of experience like from when you arrive, for who you meet or who you hang out with, or, you know, did they feed you? I just want to know all that kind of stuff, really.
Yeah, well, it was filmed right next to where EastEnders is filmed and where Grange Hill was filmed. So there was a canteen nearby where you could go in, and you'd often see actors and actresses and obviously other acts that are performing on that night's show. But Top of the Pops is quite diverse. You know, it's not just an indie channel. It's for
no. Yeah, so, but did you make friends with the other bands though?
Yeah, sometimes and sometimes not so much. I mean, to be honest with you, it was the other 3 members of the band at that time that had a better time because the producer at the time was called Rick Blackstill, and he was quite a big fan of us. He liked guitar music as well as obviously liking whatever's in the charts. But say, for example, we were doing a show and Kylie Minogue was on it. Kylie would mime and other chart acts would mime, but he always said to me, I want you to sing live because that's what you do. That's your essence. And I was never bothered about that because I agreed with that. I'd rather sing it live. I mean, if people want to go onto a YouTube or whatever and watch our old performances on Top of the Pops, all of them are sang live.
Oh, yeah.
And I often went slightly out of tune every now and again just to make people aware that I was singing it live.
It is really notable. I was watching Chasing Rainbows, and, you know, I just loved Chasing Rainbows in 96. It was just, you know, I think that was when I kind of like just fell in love with your band, you know, and you can hear that it is live and it's done in such a way. And I was thinking, wow, you know, what is he thinking about here? He's singing that beautifully. Then you've got to like navigate these kind of quirky camera angles that you've got to gaze into at times. You know, I just wonder about sort of the direction, the lighting, all the things you've got to think about to make that look, you know, as brilliant as you did.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think you were called in at like 9:30, 10 a.m. And then you waited around for an hour or two, and then it was your turn to go and do a run through for the cameras. And then you'd go off again for half an hour, and then you'd do another run through for the cameras, and then you'd go off again, and then you'd come back with the clothes that you're going to be wearing on the performance, so that make sure it didn't clash with the cameras and the lighting. So this takes most of the day up, and you're just kind of hanging around, waiting to be called back. And because the rest of the guys in the band only had to mime playing their instruments, they'd get slowly more and more drunk throughout the day because it didn't really matter. Whereas I was the one who was singing it live and had to hold a little bit back, which is why I'm saying about them being quite lucky and probably really enjoying it, if even they remember it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, maybe not then.
but then because you've done so many run-throughs, you get the idea of what the cameras are doing through the day. But then the added impetus of having a live audience there as well, right in front of you. So, you know, there was times where you'd do half the song and then something went wrong with the cameras and you have to stop and start again from scratch and re-record it. But that, that's the nature of the beast. So I'd rather that than have done it.
Yeah.
The sad thing is now, though, I sometimes, if the conversation comes up at home with my older children, I'll kind of do the bragging thing and say, Top of the Pops 10 times, son. And the response I get back is, what's top of the pops.
Oh my God, they really need to bring a show back like that again, I think, because that was just, it's so important for pop culture. And what have the kids got these days? Streaming this, streaming that. They don't even listen to an album in order of songs or anything like that now, do they? Everything's
this is why we called our last album Instant Pleasures, because that's what everything is these days.
Yeah, it's just quick and, one thing looking at 3 million things at the same time. It's what the kids do. Yeah. That album is absolutely brilliant. Let's talk about that then. So all of the songs, to me, they're all hits. They're all amazing. It's your sound, like it is a Shed7 album, but it's like not who you were, but like who you are now. It was brilliant to hear that you were releasing an album again, and I think we should talk about some of the songs on the album. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's do it. To be honest,
some of my faves.
I look back at that album now, because obviously it's nearly 4 years old.
I can't believe it's old like that. I know. It seems so new still.
Yeah. But to be honest, we were quite pleased while we were doing it, because we could hear how it was going and we could see how it was going. And it did sound very Shed7, but very up to date and fresh Shed7, So we were quite pleased about that, because we did know that a lot of our fans were a bit worried because they'd found out we were doing new stuff. But they were worried.
There's always that danger, isn't there? Yeah, it's like, oh no, we used to love these years ago. It's never going to be as good, but it is. Yeah. It's better, if anything. Oh, it's the same. It's brilliant. It's just different, and it's now. Yeah. It's in the now for you guys, and it's just wonderful.
This is why we weren't really that worried about it, because we did hear, obviously we reformed and we were just playing live for quite a long number of years. And we were enjoying doing that. And the people who love us, who come to see us, just love singing along to On Standby.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But there was always that thing where your hardcore fan would be going, will you ever write anything new? And for a long time, there wasn't really that inclination. But then weirdly, we just decided to give it a go. And I think Nothing to Live Down was the first song that we wrote, and kind of looked at each other and went, well, there is something here, we should persevere with this. And within a few months, we had the majority of the album. So when we were kind of leaking that there was something imminent, suddenly these people who desperately wanted to hear new songs were suddenly really, really worried that it wasn't going to be any good. So, but because we knew what we were doing, we kind of knew, if you like Shed7 1996 and 1998, you're going to like this.
You're going to love it.
Yeah, yeah. So it was quite a nice time period before anyone had heard it, just sitting on it and knowing that it was going to be liked by some people anyway.
And it peaked at number 8 as well in the UK charts, didn't it? So it did really, really well.
Yes, it did great, yeah. And it actually went to number 6 in the Scottish charts.
Did it? That's fantastic. And also, I just think this is funny, but at the time you released the album, didn't you also release your own brand of beer?
Yes, we did that, yes. And there's talk of other alcoholic beverages coming soon as well. I can't really give anything away yet.
So. Ooh, exciting. I shall look forward to that then. So back to the album then. Let's talk about the songs. So good, you put them in that perfect order. I'm going to choose a few that I love, but I love them all. I don't have any favourites. Maybe I do, don't know. But the opening track, Room in My House. So, this is brilliant. It's just, I think it's always good to have like a catchy little kind of chant going on that we can all join in with, particularly at the concerts and stuff. So that is brilliant. What came first? Like, did the chant come first? Did like the chorus? Tell me the process.
Well, that particular song was written probably mid album writing session time, and Paul had the guitar riff for the main verse, and he gave that to me, and I took it away. And if I remember rightly, I immediately wrote, "There's room in my house for love and infection. Spread out your arms, I could give you infections." Up until that point, so we had that kind of just the verse for a long time, and then pushed it to one side and forgot about it. And then I think I remembered that we'd actually done that because it was recorded on a phone or something. And I remember going to Paul's and we sat and listened to it, and we did exactly what you just said and thought, right, this needs some type of crowd or mass sing-along kind of thing. And we were kind of going, what should it be? Ooh, 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 and then came up with oh, 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 oh. As soon as we kind of came up with that, we looked at each other and thought, right, that if we kind of come out and that starts, everyone hopefully would start doing that back. And lo and behold, the very first gig, everybody did. It's such a great moment, that, because it's something we discussed it like a year before, and then we were seeing it in fruition. It was great.
Such a feel-good moment at the gigs, but they all are at the gigs. Another track I love, Better Days, and I just think it's such a beautiful song. It's so incredibly moving. Sometimes that song can move me to tears with the lyrics, the vocal. I just wonder what inspired you to write it.
Well, again, it's funny because there's certain songs that you just kind of grasp from the air. You don't know where they come from, really. That particular one, I'd gone to Paul's and he played me that kind of riff on the piano, which isn't the usual way we would do things. So, he's playing that piano riff and I'm immediately in my head getting the melody. Because it's such a simple thing. You wonder if it's too simple or too obvious or has it been done before, because it's just so simple. So we kind of showed it to a couple of people and no one had heard of that kind of melody. So I took it home and as ridiculous as it sounds, I sat on my settee at home and wrote all of those words in about 20 minutes. It just kind of came out of me. It was really
just
weird.
Happened like.
Yeah, sometimes it can take months getting it exactly how you want it. You can go back to it time and again and change bits, but that just came out all in the order of the actual song. It was just very strange.
Oh, it's beautiful.
But, I remember we demoed it, just piano and voice. I think that's on the bonus Instant Pleasures CD on the disc too. There's the original piano and vocal demo on that. But I remember doing that and coming home, and she must have been about maybe 5 at the time, my daughter, she was wearing a black ballet outfit. And I said, just have a listen to this. And I put it on and she immediately started doing this lovely ballet dance move. And if we can zone in with 5-year-olds, we're onto a winner here.
Definitely. And you've got a ballerina in your video for that, haven't you?
Yes, I think that came from that.
So did that come from that? Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I've got the, you do your handwritten lyrics. What a great prezi they make for all kinds of everyone. And so behind me, it's a bit far in the distance, but that's your handwritten lyrics for Better Days.
Oh, is it right? Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Love those. And do you actually each one? Do you handwrite each one? Because I did, because it's so neatly written. You've got this lovely handwriting, and I didn't know whether they were a print and then you would write
no,
each and every word.
Listen, I couldn't possibly sell them and just print them out. They're properly. That is a genuinely written by me piece of music. That's
what I hoped, and that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, it can take a while.
I've got a bit of Rick Witter in my studio. A bit of your DNA is in here, making the magic in here. They're brilliant. What great presents. Absolutely.
The thing is, I use these. Well, that's great. I use these particular pens though, that the ink takes ages to dry, so I have to write a line out and then wait because they smudge otherwise. So that probably took me about an hour to do that. So you've had an hour of my DNA on your wall.
That is fantastic. Wow, it's getting years and years of love and appreciation. So it's definitely all worth it.
It's a nice idea, though, because, if you like a particular song, you can kind of look at it and sing along while reading it while the song's playing. It's a nice thing. I did that immediately as soon as I got it, Christmas Day, and many times. To be honest, it's funny because I had no idea what was about to hit us when that was written. And obviously the world's gone mad. But that song's taken on quite a poignant thing since COVID appeared, really, with the way the lyrics flow and different meanings for different people. But I always like to leave a little bit of hope in there, which is why the last line of the song is "Come and find me."
Come and find me. Yeah. It's brilliant. And let's move on to track 11. Now, this I love for a different reason. This is "People Will Talk."
Right,
and
yes.
It's got such a joyful opener. I'm sure you know which tracks and what the names of your songs are, but such a joyful opener, isn't it? As soon as you hear that, it just makes me want to dance around. Did that
people
come
think
first?
it's the Nolan.
The
Nolan. That's what people accuse us of, yes. I've been accused of worse.
I'm in the mood for dancing.
Have you not thought that before?
Never thought that.
Well, you will every time now.
But they're totally different. But I know what you mean now. You've said it. Yeah, but no, do. Let's go back to your do. It's just so fantastic. And if like I ever feel a little bit doomy, gloomy, that'll go on. And then we're all It's just got that vibe. Love it.
That's exactly what music should do. I think that one came because of Paul's son actually started doing that riff on Paul's piano, just absent-mindedly. And Paul said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he said, I'm just mucking about. And Paul kind of took it off him, said, "I'll have that, thank you, son."
Love it. Great.
But that became People Will Talk. I mean, obviously the song's about two people who perhaps shouldn't be together for whatever reason, and they think that they should be together 100%. So whatever people might say, sod them. We'll just be together anyway.
Great that you've got these stories as well, with your lyrics. They've got this meaning. Let's talk about your final track, Invincible. So this is like, the sort of slow, dreamy, that thoughtful, breathing out and breathing in, can feel sometimes overwhelming. Oh, Rick.
Well, it's the message there is hang on in there, people might accuse people. There might be a judge and jury and an executioner out there, but it doesn't matter, even if we do crash and burn, let's give it a go.
Let's have a go anyway. Yeah, people, you're always going to get your miseries, aren't you? And your people want to be mean, and then you just want, you're always going to get people who are going to cheer you on. Yeah,
totally. That's life. That's totally life. And I think a lot of our songs are, certainly lyrically, they are about love, lust, greed, hate, because everybody experiences those feelings. So you're more likely to connect with people. But we chose to put that song on the album as the last song on the album, because it's just got that feeling where you get to the end of that and all you want to do is put the album on again. It's one of those songs where you've loved hearing it that much that you just think, right, this has to go on again, which is what I used to do growing up with bands like the Smiths. You get to the end of the album and think, right, that's going back on again.
Damn right. Yeah, absolutely. And let's now talk about Shedcember. I love Shedcember when it comes around. And obviously we haven't had it for a while, have we? And this is something that you then do biannually is the plan normally.
Well, we do always do it biannually. So which means weirdly, we haven't missed out due to COVID if it happens this December, because we wouldn't have done it last year anyway.
No, because the last time I came, it was the year before. Yes,
it was.
Should have came to see it then. Yes, brilliant.
We did 2019 just before it all kicked off. So the only thing we
planned really that well.
We really did. Yes. So the only things we've really missed out on are festivals last summer, which we could have done, and a lot of them have been pushed back to this summer. But whether or not they'll happen, because they're all dropping like flies. I've just heard Why Not's not going to happen.
Why not? Just joking.
Kendall Calling's not happening. So, but I suppose the positive regarding ourselves is, fingers crossed, by December, mid-November to December, then the things will be back to some kind of normality and we can go out there and do what we do best.
It's going to be brilliant. Oh, I cannot wait.
To be honest, the atmosphere at our gigs is pretty special anyway. Yeah. So imagine what it'd be like when people are back out there not being allowed to do it for so long. It's going to go off the roof.
It is. It's just going to be amazing, because every time I come to see you guys play, we always make friends, because there's just so much love in the room. Everybody is having a brilliant time. We're just kind of riding this wave, aren't we? And they are genuinely the best nights of my life. Like, they just are. And I love music, and I've seen loads of bands play over the years for many moons now. I'm such a music lover of all different genres and styles. And I say to everyone, but Shed7 nights are like the best nights of my goddamn life. They're amazing. Like, forget my wedding night, the birth of my children. It's a Shed7 gig. And my husband, he's okay with that. He loves you too.
Oh, good. Does he come with you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's got, I think you guys are awesome. Yeah.
Great. Well, that's great. To be honest, it's funny because we've been doing it that long now that, we've learned to kind of relax into touring as well. I remember in the 90s, there'd be times where if one of us made a little guitar error or I sang out of tune, there'd be an inquest afterwards. Why did that happen? And why did you do that? But I think over years, and the older that we've got, we've just thought that doesn't matter. People are there because they probably want to hear those little ad-libs or
live, isn't it? You can't expect it to be exactly perfect. You wouldn't want it to be, would you?
No, and I think we've learned that over the years, and now we kind of embrace that more than anything. I think if you can see a band who are actually looking like they're having a great time, that's going to spill out into the crowd. And then if we're seeing the crowd having an absolutely great time, it's going to come back to us. It's like Great Time Tennis, which should be our new album title.
That's what you should call it. Oh, new album. Oh, does that mean
well, we'll have to write the songs for it first, but it's called Great Times Tennis.
Great. I love that. That's definitely going to be your next album, and get writing it soon and let me know when you get doing it. So how are the rehearsals going then, ready for the tour?
Well, we have started. We started about a month ago, but we only do a few hours on an evening a week. So we've just
building your stamina.
Yeah, exactly. We're just dipping our toes back in, because we aren't currently writing anything new. The songs that we are playing, apart from a few Instant Pleasures ones that we haven't played live before, we might be doing at a few future gigs. It is like getting back on a bike, it gets to the point where after an hour or two of playing these old songs, we need an audience to feed off. It gets a little bit not boring because we love playing our music, but without someone to feed
off. Gotta have the people.
It's just five of us in a room playing Getting Better. How many times have we done that in the past? So it's like, we would do Getting Better, just us five in a room and just play it to get through it, so to speak. But if there was somebody there, I'd be jumping down with the microphone and making them sing along, So it's just a case of getting match fit, and we've started doing that. So fingers crossed by the time we're doing our first gig, which I believe is Halifax Peace Hall at the end of August, which is a rescheduled gig from last year. Right. So if that happens, fingers crossed that happens. That's will quite be our soon, first
isn't it?
It's not too far away. And it's quite a big gig to say we've not actually performed in front of anyone for well over a year and a half now, but I'll get those hips swinging.
Of course you will. That's what you're all about. Just comes naturally now, doesn't it, to you?
It does. It always has.
That's your thing.
If I was in a dinner queue at school and a radio was playing, I'd be like that in the queue.
Well, you do it so well. And then after the tour, what might the future behold for you boys? Because I can see you guys just like going on forever, like the Stones, probably. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, there is a slight case for that to be said. Obviously, at some point, I would really love to just get back into the new album thing. The thing with us is we're all very busy doing other things, and there'd be no reason at all to write and release any old rubbish just for the sake of doing it. We knew with Instant Pleasures that it was entitled to be released. So what we have to do is write an album that's as good as or better than Instant Pleasures to warrant doing it. So, there is always ideas flying around. There's always guitarists flying around. I've got a huge notepad with loads of lyrical ideas in there. But it's just
how big is this pad?
Oh, it's huge.
It's huge. It's enormous.
Reams of it. So, it's just a case of getting the inclination to get together and start the process again, which once we do, we'll probably get right into it. So, fingers crossed. It did take a long time between albums last time, so fingers crossed it won't take another 16 years, put it that way.
Yeah, please get another one to us before too long. Well, that's so exciting, isn't it? I cannot wait for the tour. I'm coming to see you. We've got our tickets for Tuesday, the 7th of December at Cambridge Corn Exchange. So that's one that we've definitely got our tickets for. And then, we'll just see what else as well. We normally like to come and see you a couple of times. Sometimes.
No, is that the one you came to last time?
The one I came to last time, we went to Leicester, and you played at the Roadmender as well in Northampton. So I'm in Northampton, but you're not playing at the Roadmender this time.
Yeah, was that the gig we did the night before Castlefield Bowl in 2018? I don't think we did it on the last tour.
It must have been the one before that then.
Yeah, so that was about 2018. So I said
Roadmenders, Leicester.
So have you been to Cambridge Corn Exchange?
I believe I have. In the past,
I was just going to say, we did play it on the last tour, and it was the first time in a long time that we had, and it was a great night. It was a really good night, and I think it was a Tuesday night, but the crowd in there were absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah,
it's a great venue, so that will be a good one.
It doesn't matter what night of the week it is, if it's a Shedcember night. I think when you came to the Roadmender, it was a school night, but that didn't stop us. We were out having an amazing... Yes,
that's very true. It's like a month-long party for us.
Yeah, sounds amazing. And you've got great special guests as well as your show openers too, don't you?
Yes, we do. Yes, we've got Mark Morris, Chris Helm and Nigel Clark out of Blue Tones, Seahorses and Dodger respectively, but they've got together and they've decided to become a trio. So they're going to perform a couple of each band's songs, but sing them together. So I'm imagining, I couldn't possibly say which Blue Tones songs they'll play, but I think Chris and Nigel will harmonise with Mark. So that should be quite special. And I think they're going to do a couple of covers. So it's quite good value for money for the ticket price, to be honest with you, because that's 4 big 90s names all in one room. So it might be carnage.
It might be indeed. People haven't been out for ages. Well, I cannot wait, and thank you so much for chatting to me today. I think you're amazing. You're actually godlike, Rick Witter. Total legend. Made my day. Made my life.
Well, listen, thank you for having me on, Clare. Very good that.